right. Hey everyone, I'm Alaina, co-founder of Investing Bay. I am predominantly a scalper. I do swing trade occasionally, but I'm very much a technical, chart-loving, momentum-loving queen. I just love to make my money and make it fast. So if you guys have charts you want me to look at, I'm more than happy to. It looks like we got our first ticker. Stevens by ADUS. Can you guys see my screen?
Uh, yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. All right, ADUS, this is actually coming, it looks like right out of our distribution. So I see this is our 50 EMA, this one's a 200. I usually use EMAs just because they update a little faster and I'm more of a short-term trader, but I'm not against the simple if you're doing more long-term things. But this right here to me looks bearish for sure. We've gotten down below our 200. We've taken out a ton of recent support levels. We do have a little, a little green here, but nothing really to be too concerned with. Um, what I'm gonna do, there's an indicator that I like to use, especially for stocks I'm not familiar with called ATR. Down here we've got a VIX. I keep my VIX on me, just to get the gauge. But this ATR on your daily average true range, it's going to actually tell us on average how many points our stocks move over a 14-day period. And this goes in either direction. So for my momentum traders, this is going to be really good for us, right? Because if we know this thing only moves about 3 points a day, then I can look down and see like, okay, here's our next level down based on the daily. So our next low is 110.48. That would be my next target for this guy. 110 is a nice big psychological level, that nice whole number. And so based on this setup, I see no reason why we can't get back down to this 110. It looks like it wants it pretty bad. Yeah, I have nothing on here makes me feel bullish about this, unless there's a catalyst I'm not aware of, but this chart is pretty bearish. Let's see, PJT. There's a nice gap we're in. Okay, there's two. Let me mark this up. I'm such a gap fan. Whenever I see gaps, I just mark them, even if I'm not going to use them today or even this quarter. I don't care. I just want to know where they are. All right, so tons of gaps over here. Looks like we had a nice rejection up top of that 190. So down here, it looks like 170 is the bane of our existence here, guys. We got a couple lows, 169, 168, 97. So yeah, I would say, let me zoom in. Shout out to the people that are 30 plus. We need our our big font. That's okay. 168.97 will get us back in this gap. So that's what I'll trigger here. 168.97. And then for the upside, we're still working with a lower high from yesterday. So really and truly for us to get back in the swing of this and get some buyer, which we don't have that either. We don't really have any buyers at all. But I would really want to see this not only hold 170, but I want to see some more buyers step in so we don't just go sideways. Um, let's see, today's high 171.68 to 173.97. We can trigger today's high for now. Maybe we get a short trip to yesterday's 173 around 174. But it just looks really weak. I can come down some. You guys can kind of see that. If we just want to take a short trip, we could like work this retracement up to, even if you wanted to do yesterday's pre-market, you see we're right around this golden ratio. So there's not too much to see here. And we've actually gapped above the 50, which yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. There's a nice little trend line there for us too. But it doesn't, I wouldn't say the upside is totally out of the question here. Like this is a giant, it looks like a giant flag to me. We just need some volume in there. Let's see. What time frames do I use for day trading? I like to use multiple time frames. So ideally, I like a top-down analysis. So like pre-market, I'm looking at the daily. Like pre-market is just because again, I'm a short term. I love short-term momentum burst. That's what I live for. So on the daily, I'm just gonna start and let's get another ticker up here too so we can multitask. Let's get SMCI in the building. Okay, so I said all that to say this. So I'm gonna check the daily first, right? Let me clean this off. Obviously, I've had fun with SMCI too. But so yeah, right here, I see we're up on the 200, right? So to me, that's like, okay, danger zone to the upside, right? We need to get through that because that's a hurdle. I also see we're between the 50 and 200, which could give a little indecision, right? We might not see super strong up or down, but we could see some more sideways choppy price action. So in this case specifically, mind you, did they have earnings already? Yeah, they did. I guess it was pre-market, I'm assuming. So anyway, um, looking at this, we don't really have a super clear idea of what this wants to do. Does that make sense? Like it's kind of in between the EMAs. We're below the 200, but above the 50. So like it's really anybody's game here. And if you zoom out, it looks like we're accumulating again after this drop. But I want to see overall direction. So if we're trading in an uptrend, then 9 times out of 10 on the lower time frames, I'm looking for upside opportunities, right? Usually the pullbacks are a little weaker in an uptrend, so I just look for strong upside momentum. And then if we're in a downtrend overall, I'm more so looking to trade the downside, right? It's usually a lot stronger. Our upside tends to be a little choppier, a little weaker. And then if we're going sideways on the daily, then that just, it kind of sorry, you guys. I went to a boxing match and caught whatever this is going around. So that's why I'm hacking like this. But excuse me, I'm just gonna work through it. So, um, but yeah, that's why I like to do that. I don't like to trade against the market. And I find that you get a lot of, I feel like I see stronger movements when I'm trading with the overall prevailing trend. But that being said, let's look at SMCI here. I'm gonna throw up a quick trend line through here. And we can just do this. I'm also gonna alert the 200 and I'm gonna trigger this. We're gonna do crossing up over the EMA 200 because who wants to sit here and stare this down for hours, right? So once we cross the 200, I'll be more interested in the upside here. I also want to see the 50 because we're between the both of them. So I'm going to also trigger crossing down below the 50 EMA. So in the short term, you see we're kind of moving sideways here. So I would actually just run. Excuse me. But I'm just going to jump down the time frame because we don't have too much going on. So here, let's just like fib this little guy out. I'm going to flip my fib too. And then at this point, again, like as a scalper, I'm just looking to see if I can see any type of setup, like a pattern. Like I see this as kind of not kind of, it's absolutely going sideways. We're below the 50. So like maybe in the short term, a short trip down to this 38.48. But to me, risk wise, it's not even worth it. Like this is just a really short trip to potentially bounce again here. Our volume's on the decline, so I'm not really bullish here either. I think this needs to marinate a little bit more. But you can see like there's a little spurts in here. I just really don't like to trade in ranges. Like this is a nice little drop down, but this is all we have for now. Until she breaks out of this range, this is all we have to work with. Let's see. But yeah, I like to use all the time frames. I just work my way up to from the daily down, and then I'll have like a 2 or 3 up, and then I'll have like maybe a 5 or a 15. But I like that. And this is something from the strat, like shout out to Rob Smith. but the full time frame continuity, I actually like that a lot. So I think if you can get multiple time frames to confirm your trend, it's always a good thing. Let's see. Are you able to explain a moment, just the basics, what your trading plan is like, what you look for? Yeah, for sure. Let's look at SMCI right here. All right, so what I'm gonna do, and actually, let's go down to, did somebody say Tesla? Okay, I'm gonna work all these other tickers into this too. All right, so let's start on Tesla. And I actually have been trading Tesla today, so it's already marked up. But I'll show you guys how I like to mark up my charts in the morning. So I start up on the daily, and I call this my roadmap, like to my students. But basically, I'm gonna mark if we're, obviously pre-market, we don't have this candle yet, but I can see what happened yesterday. And like every candle is defined by what happened before it, right? So if we're looking at today from yesterday with Tesla, we're inside, right? Um, even though we've got this huge move to the upside, we're actually still inside. So we're still trying to recover from yesterday's drop. So like, yeah, it just gives you context, right? And so then my take profit levels, these are based on previous highs and lows. So from here, this was yesterday's high, Friday, Thursday, so on and so forth. And then these lows, I had to go back in time a little bit because we haven't been this low for a while. So I come this way and get my price targets. And so I think, okay, we're good. So I'm going to jump back down to this lower frame. And you can see like now we get an idea of where we're going. So you see Tesla pre-market, right? I'm going to check for gaps because we tend to gap up or down, not always, but a lot of times we get gaps. So that's another, opportunity potentially if we can get in a gap and fill it. So anyway, but yeah, so market opens. The first thing I notice is that Tesla's trading above yesterday's low. So that alone is like bullish sentiment, right? So we're trading, we've reclaimed yesterday's low, and now we've got some buyers that are actually stepping in. Now, our first target, right, is going to be the previous high, and we haven't claimed that yet, but there's a little wiggle room in here to play with because Tesla made like what, a 24-point move? Is that right? 349, 325. Yeah. So as far as like strike prices, price targets, anything like that, this is what we have to play with, right? If we reclaim this, then we work our way up here and we have this kind of to work with. And then it just depends on what you're trying to get out of the trade as to how long and how many of these levels you're going to try to get to. But ideally, if we're if we're trending up, for example, we're going to start reclaiming these and we're going to start having higher supports. And if we're dropping, right? Like I think who was it, Nvidia? Like you can see Nvidia broke yesterday's low, right? So like there was yesterday's low, and today we came below it. And then all day today we've been hanging out around yesterday's low. And then you also see we've got a lower high. So that also gives you that context that's so important for traders. So like if we're trading below yesterday's low, obviously I'm not really looking for the strongest of uptrends, right? I'm looking for the bulls to fight and try to get their levels back. So that kind of gives you an idea of where to look for strength. That's pretty much my pre-market spiel. Like I do all of this pre-market, and then when I'm actually trading, right, and looking for like entry, I'm looking at the EMAs, like your 50 and 200. So if we're trading to the downside, I want to see the 50 below the 200. I want to see that death cross. For the upside, I like to see that golden cross, right? 50 above your 200, and then also volume. Volume is going to validate what we see on our chart in our direction. So if we're trending up, I want to see consistent buyers stepping into the market. I don't want to see consistent sellers for that downside. But you just want everything to kind of line up to tell you the same thing is happening. And then like your MACD, your RSI, like these guys are lagging indicators. But if you see something happening up here, these guys should be somewhat on the same page, right? So like RSI should be above that 50, like on the more bullish side. Or if we're on the upside, for the downside, we should be more towards that bearish sentiment on the oversold end. So yeah, and it's just like piecing it all together. I know trading can be a lot, but you just train your eyes. I can't believe I'm coughing this much. I'm so sorry, you guys. Let's see. Where were we? Oracle? All right, let's clean this up. Obviously, I love to chart, so all my charts are like marked crazy. But I feel like traders get it. Like you guys, I'm among people that get it. All right, so Oracle looks crazy. Let's see. Just gonna throw this up through here. We can trigger this guy too. And you can kind of see too with Oracle, you see how it's chilling on the 50 like that? That's like, it just reminds me of like a landmine. Like you want to proceed with caution on the downside here because the bulls, I mean, the bears do it too, but they like to defend this thing. So I definitely want to make sure if I trade this down that I'm not getting blindsided. And you can see like we came down to that 50 and the bulls were like, here they are defending it, right? So they're trying to, it looks like, go towards this gap. Let's see. Oh, no problem. It takes way more than a cold to make me not want to watch the market. All right, so let's look at Oracle. I'm going to do a more long-term. Well, right now, I wouldn't really worry about downside until we get below this trend line. For your upside, we can trigger this little gap from the daily. And we'll just see if the bulls can get there. But again, we need volume here. And the bear, I mean, not the bears. Yeah, the bulls really just stepped in to defend this 50. So we'll see how this plays out tomorrow. And well, into this afternoon. I'm wondering, let's see, March. I think Oracle too, though. They're like all tied up in that TikTok thing, right? So maybe this is waiting on update because it hasn't really done too much. I'm gonna look at a 5-day real quick. Yeah, Oracle's just kind of ranging. Like you see how it like popped here and the bulls came in and they're just kind of propping it up, but we're not really advancing. It's in a range. If anything, if you zoom out, I mean, we've still got these lower highs. Yeah, I don't know. Oracle's weird right now. It's super weird. We had this volume come in around the TikTok debacle, and then it just fell off again. And that's an island gap. I don't know. And if anybody's not familiar, it's an island gap. You got the free floating price action, gap up on one side, gap down on the other. This is actually a really strong reversal gap. Nice. Yeah. Oracle, I think, is a good one to keep on your radar, just in general. Okay, let's look at Amazon, and I'll get out of your hair. Let's see. I'll go get a cough drop. All right, you guys. Shout out to Amazon. She's one of our community favorites. I don't like how she's sitting on this trend line. I will say that. I don't want to see Amazon sell off unless I'm getting more, which I absolutely will. But anyway, let's grab this little gap in here and we're just gonna come down with this. And honestly, let me go back. So on Amazon, you can kind of see here too, like we barely made it past yesterday's low, but they bounced right back in to push it up. So let's see. It doesn't look bullish. We're below the 50 over here. She's almost like hanging on by a thread. We've already death crossed on the 1 hour, 4 hour, yeah, sideways. This doesn't look, and then you can see the last couple days here. This is not like even for me for a short term, like this is not the type of vibe I'm looking for. Like this is way too sideways for me. But I like that my body knows to get sick when the market is going sideways because, but anyway, no, on Amazon, honestly though, I would want to see us, and now that I'm looking at this, you can kind of see it's like descending a little bit. So we'll see here, but for your upside, I would watch for this area right through here. I know that was a random, I just threw this up, but like I would watch for us to take this out. And then for the downside, I would want to take this out, but everything inside of this looks super choppy to me. You could see a little strength, like maybe a rejection off this or a bounce off this, but even here, it's getting really tight in there. So even that's almost getting to be too close of a consolidation. Oh wait, is this a ticker GLD? Check. Gold has been like a rock star. I feel like gold is like taking it this year and last. I mean, honestly, I'm just bullish on gold, like, and it's more so fundamentally, like it's not even a technical thing. I feel like inflation is already on the way back up, which obviously with the tariffs and things, that was a possibility, but also you've got this stuff going on. There's just a lot of inflationary things going on right now. So just from a fundamental standpoint, I'm bullish on gold, if that makes sense. Sometimes the fundamentals trump the charts not a lot of times, but sometimes they do. And I feel like in gold's case, the fundamentals trump the chart, but the chart's bullish too, honestly. Do you guys have any other tickers you want to look at or any questions? Okay, CEO. Oh man, what happened today? It's like we popped and they gave it all back. You guys see that? We popped right over the 50 and we got pushed right back down. Let's see. $42 price target. On the 15, they're holding the 50 so far. Look at this volume. This is crazy. Earnings, nice. Honestly, I'm not familiar with this ticker, but like if I'm just looking at this just structurally, we're still kind of hanging above this 50. Like I know it's kind of hard to see this right now, but like, do you guys see through here how you have like, let's see, 23, So far, we're actually holding, like we rejected this level on the fib, but like we haven't retraced back down. So like this could potentially still bounce up. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the fundamentals here. Um, but you can even see in the candles, like the selling candles, you see how they're getting smaller. I would kind of want to see how this reacts to that 50. I know it's kind of hard to see it, but like, I don't know if I can. It's like they're kind of holding it up. And even it has a higher low. Let's see, 32.44, 32.40. Okay, no, it doesn't. Just kidding. But no, I would be interested to see how this reacts. Because this is a huge selling candle and the bulls still held it down right here. So I don't know. Let's see. Okay, good deal. Let's look at XOP. Did EXEL have any type of guidance, like anything positive they had to say? I'm just curious what caused those buyers to defend it like that. This is in a super tight range. We'll trigger that for now on the downside. This is consolidating, like, I mean, we could do something like this, but it's not gonna get all these. It's not gonna grab all this. Yeah, that's most of it. But this one's consolidating too, and you can kind of see it's getting tighter in here. So I would just trigger the top and bottom of this, but just like up here, you see how we kind of broke out of this and then we lost our gas. It's kind of the same vibe. Like in here, what's the ATR on this? 3? Yeah. I'm not mad at this ticker. It's like there's a little gap down in here. Maybe she wants to fill. This is on a 5-minute, but this thing has some nice volatility. Yeah, I would keep your eyes on this. See if price wants to come down and fill that out. Oh my goodness, it's 1 o'clock. Thank you guys so much. But yeah, 134.50. I would watch that. Watch for that. Thank you for having me, guys.